Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
It's coming on, my neighbors. Rosalie, I met Linda. She new at the pantry. Rosalie, is Linda new
Yes.
at the pantry?
Oh, Linda Carden. Yes. She's on our board.
Okay, cool. She's very nice. A new face for me.
Is she on this Zoom meeting? I don't see her.
I don't see her. She asked me on the mailing list and stuff, so she might show up.
She works with Baleen on the passing out food on Wednesdays at the UU Church. Community lunch.
Right. So we'll just wait a few minutes for everyone to show up. Welcome from Burlington, all the way to Burlington. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a little odd place in the road.
That's good. We got a lot of those. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys had a chance to read my email this morning.
I did.
Yeah.
If you haven't, take a moment now. It just takes a couple minutes. And we've actually heard back from quite a few people who may not be on the call, so it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
And Michael.
Amy, are you in the attic?
I'm in the top part of my house. Yeah, all of the rooms up here have this planted feeling.
You can send to the attic.
Somebody have a printer going or a drill. There's definitely a background noise.
Yep, you're right.
Here's some more people coming on.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was something at Michael, maybe at the school, there was something going on in the background. So it is 3 o'clock and people are coming on, and that is wonderful. Thank you all for being here on this beautiful day. I appreciate all that you do and taking time out of your day to join us and give us input and help each other is very important. I think a way to do hellos and check-ins might be if you've read the email that I sent you this morning with the little ethical question. I thought it was interesting. I have received, I think people are replying all in their reply, so I'm not going to read you back what you can read yourself. But I think it's an interesting question. And I'm glad to see that it is not a dilemma for the people who've responded so far, that people feel that if you are coming to a pantry, that you probably need the food, and who am I to say you don't? So that seems to be what some people are responding, and I really would be interested to hear from you. It's not often I get if there's a food pantry question in the New York Times. So I applaud them for, looking in our direction and thinking about those things. So anybody want to start? Anna, do you want to start?
sure I can. Now, am I garbled?
You are garbled.
Can you hear me? I garbled.
You might want
Maybe-
to turn off your camera.
Turn off your camera, Anna, and maybe it'll work better that way. It might, Carl says.
So I have had,
Anna, if you turn off your video, we might be able to hear you better. I know it sounds strange, but
how do I do that? How do I do that?
You
Nope.
did it. You have your camera off, hon.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
we can. And now I can't hear you at all. Anna, I'm gonna come back to you. How about that? How about
Can
that?
you hear me better?
Yeah. Amy, did you have a
Oh, okay.
chance to, did you, that sounds pretty good, Anna. Go ahead.
I have a couple clients that do that, but
Yeah. Anna, I'm sorry, we really can't hear you. It's
go someone else.
so, yeah, that's a great idea, Dave. Anna, are you able to type your answer into the chat? Do you know how to do that? At the bottom of your screen is a chat button and you could type your response in there and then we can read it.
Move to someone else.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
do that. Amy, what are your thoughts on that? And is there a general Good Shepherd food policy on who gets to come?
Yeah, so I did read it, and thank you for sharing. It was really interesting, that it's, well, frankly, it's not just a Maine problem. It was nice to see that other people are having that issue as well.
Move to someone else.
I shared it with my team so that, and I know Burlington Food Pantry responded, and I shared that with Jenny Jones. And she was happy with the response. And so, yeah, as far as my pantries go, there's only a couple that will bring that to my attention if they think that there are people that are double dipping, or there are people, a new client that may not look as though they have a need. So Good Shepherd has a service philosophy of trying to lessen the stigma of going to food pantries and treating everyone with dignity. So that's something definitely that we try to encourage and share. But again, remember, I'm just a CRR of Androscoggin and Oxford. There's 16 counties, but 97% of my pantries have the same service philosophy, that the people that are in need, they come to the pantry because they need. So, and what we ask of some of the pantries have more restrictions as far as who can come and use their food. But we ask that they don't turn anyone away, and they give them food, whether it's one of those Thanksgiving boxes, but they don't turn them away. They give them food, and they also give them a resource list of, okay, so you're from Jay, I'm going to give you a resource around Jay that you can use. So yeah, it was just a really interesting article. I'm super glad you shared that.
I'm glad you did, and I'm glad that you shared it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen all the responses. Maureen shared hers from the Burlington Food Pantry. Brendan Millhouse sent a response. Brendan sent a response as well. And, you know, I agree. You cannot judge a book by its cover. You do not know where this person's car came from or who cares. And I think most people feel somewhat stigmatized having to go to a food pantry. So questioning their need on top of that, you know, is pretty insulting in my opinion. And you know, I'm supposed to have 50% of the people who take my class be SNAP Ed eligible, to be SNAP beneficiaries eligible, but we don't actually ask people that question until they take the survey the first day of class. And you know, my theory is if they want to come to class and they want to learn, then who am I to say you shouldn't be here?
Holly, for me, the striking thing about the article, and it's not to quibble with them, but just the language of cheating, it doesn't, like, that word cheating sort of turned the whole thing like a different way. And before the pandemic, you know, I think most pantries sort of stayed within like their region, like I'll help people from, and then during the pandemic, people were like, well, if you need help, just come in. And then, you know, the people that we lean on Harrison, because we get lots of supplies from them beyond Good Shepherd Food Bank. And so I take my cue from Sandy, and Sandy's like, I'm going to feed whoever it is from wherever they're from. And I've always kind of felt like it wasn't our role legally or ethically to police in that way. And I've had in the past, I've had a community official from one of the towns that we serve say, you know, I hear so-and-so is going to your food pantry and the Woodstock food pantry. Like, they are, but that's not my thing. And I don't think, I think that's the way most pantries look at it.
When I started the community foods calendar that shows where all the food is, where all the pantries are, I noticed that you could get a lot of food on Thursdays and Fridays meals in Norway. And I questioned, you know, Foothills Food Works when they first started. I'm like, hey, you're giving out meals a block away from each other on the same day. Does that make sense? And it worked for them because of the staffing schedule. But, you know, Chris Borden made a good point. Who cares if somebody gets 2 meals from 2 different locations? If they need it and they're going to eat it, that's the point. So, you know, I mean, I was kind of going, you know, we should spread this out if we could. But, you know, to his point, if somebody's hungry, are you really going to say no?
Well, those are 2 different things, though, because one thing is about duplicating services and you know, maybe there is stuff we can learn from other people in our communities so that we're not directly duplicating. Like, we had a situation with at-risk students in the local public schools. There's a program there where they feed the elderly. And I said, look, I know you're doing this and it's great. Why don't you think about it? And then if you'd like to, you can bring food from the food pantry. You can bring boxes from the food pantry to these people as well, so that we're working together as opposed to separately.
No, I agree with you. And I know that, you know, when the pandemic started and the community lunch in Norway had lines down the block, they still do, on Wednesdays, and the Oxford Hills Food Pantry wasn't seeing many people coming in that day. They changed their hours to accommodate people in the early evening instead of morning, you know, so they're still open the same amount of time. So I agree with you. Figuring out duplicative services in a very small geographic region is important, so that resources and resources, not just meaning food, but of volunteer time and talent and the money to buy that food is not wasted. I think that's important.
Just for quick, I guess, example, and maybe it's not really a reason that it could happen, but I have physically gone from one pantry to another, and there was a woman and two women who was at one pantry, and then when I went to the other one, they were there as well. But the other one, they offered different things, whether it be food, whether it be clothing, whether it be children's books. So I mean, it was kind of funny that I saw them. They didn't recognize me, but it was like, but I don't feel that they were double dipping. I feel like they went from one to another in a very saturated area that has lots of food pantries, and they were using the resources given to them. Another reason that I think that some pantries may tend to, not catering's the wrong word, but cater to their own residents. Sometimes what I've heard is that it has to do with their funding. Say it's from the town. If it's from the town, then they kind of are being told where their money needs to go. Then comes the service philosophy of don't turn anyone away. Let them know what the resources are out there. So it is kind of a stickler for some pantries that they don't have anything else to do except for restrict who they're taking care of. But again, as long as they can, I mean, who cares if this one person comes back every single week because they like the personality and the atmosphere? Well, give them a food box, give them a resource.
Right. Amy, you bring up a good point. People are not only coming to food pantries for food. They are coming for attention, for connection, to be seen. So, that's a really good point.
Oxford Hills Food.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rick.
Oxford Hills Food Pantry accepts anybody, anytime, and some of our clients are coming weekly. We prefer that they would come monthly, but we take them weekly, and we accept them, and we don't turn anybody away. It's what it is.
I think frequency is different for different people. Like it could be a storage reason. It could be they can't carry a month's worth of groceries home on foot,
right,
or up those stairs. Which those stairs. But so there could be a lot of different reasons why a weekly visit is better for some people than a monthly visit.
Yes, that's true.
Maureen, would you like to add anything to what you said in your email, or anyone else?
Just that, like was already said, we were encouraged when we partnered with Good Shepherd Food Bank to not turn anyone away, to, if they need food, help them. We're a very small town. So you draw a circle around Burlington and make that circle bigger and bigger. And our people are coming from a lot of the small surrounding towns. We don't ask if they're going anywhere else. We just ask if we can help them with food, please come. We do have several families who pick up for other people, which we encourage as well. Which helps the people who can't get out. And it's okay with us if they pick up for other people. And that's worked. And so far, because Good Shepherd Food Bank delivers to us, which is an amazing thing, because we were making trips to Hamden sometimes twice a week with trailers and trucks to pick up food. So now that they're delivering to us, we can source the amount of food that takes care of these people. And we have had an amazing group of volunteers. the word's gotten out. Many of these people I had never met before. I'm kind of somewhat new to the area, but friends talked about friends, and they come and help, and it's really been very overwhelming. And we're in the middle of a building project thanks to Good Shepherd Food Bank and a grant that we secured from them. So that will help us with our space. But we do serve whoever rolls through and give them what we can. And but I will add that the produce from Good Shepherd Food Bank is at no cost. So if you have a place to store or keep or have that available, our people in this area still cook. So on Tuesday, we got 50-pound bags of potatoes plus cabbage and onions and oranges, a plethora of fresh food. So that helps as well at no cost.
So Amy, are we still in a period of abundance, as Good Shepherd said, with supplies of foods?
I would say that the
Big job.
I think we're still kind of low on but we did just give 60% off. So everything online is 60% off. I don't know where that's coming from. Isn't that wicked weird?
That sounded like a car crash. I don't know.
Yeah, I know it. So we just offered everything at 60% off all of our purchased product. And as Maureen said, all of our produce is always free unless we've had to process it and make tomatoes into spaghetti sauce or something. So I believe that we are not in the in any kind of struggle except for with meat. Of course, the pantries can speak to that a lot better than I can because they see what's available every week. And of course, diapers are something that we would only get donated, and that is not very often.
I think the meat, the protein in general, the prices have gone way up. And the other thing is the amount of protein that's available has gone down. I was just talking to Connie about it last week before we opened, because they actually weirdly didn't have enough produce for us. I think we always order 1,500 pounds, and she's like, I can only give you 600 because they only had 2 items. They had apples and nectarines, and I was really appreciative because if we'd gotten 1,500 pounds, it would have been hard to get rid of.
It's so funny how things change so quickly, because that was last week, Dave. This week I asked her because I was curious what was available. And there was like eggplant, squash, potatoes, nectarines, plums, oranges, apples. So get in there.
Quick, go now.
Quick.
If you have like if you get an order delivered, then you kind of are stuck on the date, and that's what it really comes down to. I wanted to say one last thing about the New York Times article, and I might suggest that the reason that I was bothered by the word cheaters is because it's a really narrow vision of what feeding people in our communities means, and that maybe if we all take like a more expanded vision or understanding of what feeding everybody means, then it's not about going to one pantry or another, but it's about all of us, as Holly's done through this, connecting together and understanding what's going on so that we can help everybody. And the more we work together, the better it's going to be, especially when we have pandemics and other issues, which I think are going to keep cropping up.
Amanda, Michael, Carl, anybody, Cecilia, you haven't had a chance. Jimmy, would you like to chime in and share?
My thoughts on it sort of echo what everyone else has said. And when I read the headline and I read the article, it sort of reminded me of this whole ongoing conversation that seems to happen with homeless people and like donating money, not donating, but like giving money to homeless people that we see on the street, wherever. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, this person actually has a whole home and they're doing yada, 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 and ripping off the people who work. And that's why you shouldn't give any money to anyone who's unhoused. And that's the argument. So, or that's what I've heard of people saying. So it made me think of that in the sense of, okay, so maybe one person or a few people do take that route, and maybe they do have full-time jobs and they have a house and whatever, but they're still choosing to stand on a corner because they think it's an easy way to make money and take advantage of people. I don't know if this is really making sense, but if someone's doing that, it says a lot more about who they are as a person versus the people who are willing to stop and talk to people who are unhoused, give them, a couple extra dollars if they have it, maybe even inquire if they have, like if they need a meal, or can I get you something at the grocery store, or something like that. So yeah, maybe there are people who work in food pantries, who volunteer in food pantries, who have strong opinions that there's a couple of people who are taking advantage of the system, but there's still a large number of people who are not doing that, and they're benefiting greatly from the resources that their communities have put into place to help and support people in those positions. So I agree with Dave. I really don't like the term of cheating. I think that's really quite evil, honestly, and it takes something that's already really stigmatized for people. It's difficult to access, and just walk into a food pantry already just as a normal person, and to have this plastered everywhere that now all the food pantry workers might think that you're cheating the system, I think is just adding one extra barrier for people to get over, to access the help that they need. It made me angry.
On a positive note, it does speak well of the food available at a food pantry, that somebody who could afford to go to the grocery store would choose to go to the food pantry to get food. So it does.
Which is another thing. I think a lot of food pantries have that sort of bad image that like it's the expired food from the the grocery store, and it's the discarded produce that's ugly and bruised, but that's just not the case.
Yeah.
I thought it was a thought-provoking piece. And I think that, as human beings, we often draw erroneous judgments based on appearances. When I worked with the judicial branch, I would see a lot of men sort of engage in like economic abuse toward women, and they would control financial resources, and the women would oftentimes end up with a new vehicle that the husband may have financed as a result of like a PA, but she's not getting consistent child support. So in that, like an instance like that, there's definitely a need there, although it may not be visible.
Good point.
And I also think that the vast majority of people that avail themselves of resources at pantries are do so with integrity. I think that we're talking about a very minute percentage of people that go to pantries that would take advantage of that service.
I agree. And somebody sent an email back this morning in a comment, I can't remember who it was, and said that they actually find a lot of clients are more frugal about what they take in consideration of other people who are coming to the pantry in need. So people are not hogging, you know, as much as we encourage them to take, because they are considerate of others and don't want to take advantage of the situation or the pantry. So, well, it was very gratifying to hear from all of you and from the people on email to know that I wasn't kind of out of line, because I agree with you. The term cheater was very offensive and glaring, and it may have been put there to provoke, to get you to read the article. You know, it's a headline, and it certainly worked. So maybe that's why they put that in there. But I do think because of the pandemic, a lot of people have changed their view of food pantries and realize truly, you know, there, but for the grace of God go I. And many people have found themselves using food pantries that never had imagined they would have that need. So I'm glad that we're there for them when they need it. So let's go to another subject. Does anybody have any concerns or any needs, anything they want to share? Mike, do you want to share anything about summer food program with the kids?
Yeah, so as you probably know, we began on the 27th at some of our satellite locations. And this week, we just kicked off summer school. So we've seen a substantial increase in numbers. I'm a little concerned that we're not getting a lot of walk-in participants from the community. We were pretty diligent about advertising. And I'm guessing the fact that we haven't seen walk-in participants is not a reflection of the actual need that's out there. Maybe folks, I don't know. I wish more kids avail themselves of the program. I know there's a need in these communities.
Could there be a transportation problem? Why some kids are not able to walk in to get the foods?
Well, absolutely in some of our locations, but you take middle school and the high school, for example, and there are a lot of communities that are within walking distance for older kids too that would probably have a need.
Mm-hmm.
And then another kind of an issue that we encountered is we had a lot of leftovers a couple of weeks ago. So I called DOE Nutrition, and they're obviously very strict on what we can do with leftovers, because one of my food service workers offered to drive down to the Regency Mobile Home Park in Oxford and drop the leftovers off, but because of USDA guidelines and bylaws, we were unable to do so. So we ended up having to throw the food. Unfortunate. I can't. Hello?
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, you were breaking off. I'm sorry, my internet connection's pretty bad.
We are all having problems with that today, I think. Does anybody else have any updates or anything they need to share? Anything they have too much of? Anything they need?
I spoke to a couple of food pantries today. I went on the road, like full day on the road. Woo-hoo. And I went to community lunch and saw them doing their drive-through distribution. Everyone is so nice there. Oh my goodness. So one of the things that they said that they think they're going to be needing is there's a referral program, I guess. Not anything, I don't think, to do with the Stevens Pantry. I think it's more of one of the schools. The pantry will deliver to some of these referred from the school nurse. That delivery program has decreased. I mean, it's 3 or 4 families, I guess, but that has decreased, and they are foreseeing that is because of the COVID pandemic. The nurses were really, really busy with the children being sick from something else, maybe COVID. So within, like when the school year starts, that program may increase again, and they are low on delivery volunteers. So just throwing that out there. I told them that I would tell you guys to kind of put a bug out there in the community that delivery drivers may be needed, and they can call Faylene if that's something that they're interested once school starts up again. And another bug to throw out there is Canton has lost a freezer. And as you all know, in food pantries, that freezers are just so needed so badly. So they lost a freezer, and she has been looking and price comparing and stuff, and she's been asking for, you know, how can she get a good price on a freezer? So I let her know to go to independent retailers. They may work out a deal more so than big box, Marketplace, and Craigslist. And yeah, so if anybody has an extra freezer, I believe it upright, because they don't have a lot of space, please either get hold of Helen or myself, and we'll get them a freezer up and running.
Amy, can you pass my information on to whomever that might be?
I sure can. Thank you, Amanda.
And I'm sorry I missed you the other day.
I'm sorry I missed you too. Oh my gosh, I love Daddy-O's. I have never been there before.
I can't believe you're in Norway and didn't call me up. I would have
I'm
taken
so
you to
sorry.
Daddy-O's for lunch.
I was meeting a donor with our donor engagement specialist. It was so much fun, but we ended up going to Daddy-O's, and it was way too fun. So Amanda, I'll be going there again, and you know, we'll meet each other.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know when you're coming. I'll make sure I'm there, and maybe I'll send you back with some farina.
I was thinking more of, you know, of those sweet potato fries.
So Kate Goldberg up in Bethel has a volunteer who has come up with some farina recipes, like for baking with it. Now there's a ton of sugar in it, Kate said, but it's using up the farina.
I got a couple of recipes from I think it was Old School Food.
Yeah, that's where it is. That's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting very industrious with the farina. So I think that's kind of interesting. Jimmy, do you have any update for us for TFAP?
We do have a new TFAP director. He wasn't able to make this meeting, unfortunately.
You know what? Hold on one second, Jimmy. Can everybody mute themselves?
I got that.
Everybody's muted, so I don't know what that noise is.
It's confusing. Yeah, it's distracting. I'll go for it though. But yeah,
go for it. I'm actually looking at everybody's screens and they're all muted and I still hear this background noise.
Crazy. But anyways, so yes, we've hired a new TFAP director. His name is Gus Nelson. He has a ton of experience and we're excited about him. He's just he got tied up in another meeting that happened to be occurring at the same time, so that's too bad. But yes, we're excited for Gus and all that he can do to support us and keep things moving forward, and yeah, just increasing our capacity because we've been pretty short staffed for a while.
Send them out.
Yeah, as far as food goes, nothing crazy to report. Seems like it's just tough sometimes to get things like just the whole scope of how much we're getting in seems to be, you know, yeah, the flow has seemed we've ceased. So we're trying to do what we can to make sure we still have a good bit coming in, and we do. It's just yeah, like I said before, probably the last month, the abundance, the crazy abundance that we had before is just doesn't seem like that's going to continue for the next year. But yeah, we're doing what we can to put in what we can put in and get all we can get. So yeah, I think that's all I've got. I could kind of touch on some parts, but USDA and kind of the stigma, because back to our first conversation, how things are baked into the regulations as far as the state needs to come up with plans to make sure that everyone is income eligible to be participating in TFAP. But thankfully, at least it has some exceptions where it doesn't require proof of income. So that really helps. And yeah, we do what we can to make sure everyone's on board. And yeah, civil rights comes first and dropping the stigma comes first. So we just want to make sure everyone that needs the food is getting the food. And that's my 2 cents.
Jimmy, I've had some feedback about the new TFAP forms, and I've been told that they're so much easier without needing a signature. It's just quick, it's easy, and it's appreciated. So just wanted to give you some of that feedback.
Perfect. Yeah, and just trying to keep things simple. People are going to have questions. So yeah, by all means, anyone has any questions or anything, or Amy, if you hear anything in the field and people want to know things, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll work with you and just to understand what the obstacles are. So.
Sorry, I'm muted. Carl or Ben, do you have anything you want to share or ask or have a moment?
I don't have anything.
Well, Ben, that leaves you more time because Carl's not going to say anything. So Ben, would you like to chime in and say hello? Tell us how things going on in the federal world?
I don't think I need to tell you how things are going on in the federal world. People are sick and tired of watching that on the news. So, but I would say that
riveting.
Not if you have 24/7 of it like I do. It's not so riveting. But what I was going to say to your point, Holly, about there are people now that go to food pantries that never in their adult lifetime thought that they would do that. And one of the reasons for that I know from discussions around the state is that parents now, because of, if you take the cost of heating oil, firewood, gasoline, and add that into your budget, when your wages haven't increased, people are, if going to a food pantry makes it possible for a family to pay their light bill or pay their car bill or pay their rent or help pay their mortgage or those kind of things, then those people might drive good cars and dress well, but they're making a conscious decision to keep their bills paid. And if food pantries help do that, that's actually a side benefit of the availability of food for families right now.
It's a puzzle and everybody figures it out a different way that works for them, hopefully.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that right now there's enough food for everybody, it seems, and that people are figuring out a way to make it work. Amanda and Amy, I see you guys in the chat, and Mike are handling that freezer. Do you want me to put something out on an email, or you want me to wait?
It doesn't seem as though you need to. I think that Amanda has taken care of it.
Right.
So I wrote to Helen, and hopefully they'll connect.
Right. And I know you were talking about drivers for the fall for a school program. I know Sandy Sweat has posted on Facebook that she is looking for drivers out of Harrison Food Bank. So, and if your pantries collect any bottles, returnables, that's how they pay their diesel fuel for those trucks, with their huge collection of returnables. So, send them that way if you can. Sorry, Mom, can't take that call. Anybody have anything else? I am putting out the draft calendar. We'll go out with the link for this email for August. I can't believe I've got an August calendar already. If you happen to be in Norway on Friday night, I'm going to put a plug in for the Allendale Community Garden Market. It's pay what you can, awesome pizza, and I'm making the dough this week, so you can say thank you or blame me on how it turns out. It worked pretty good. I think we're getting it down. Awesome wood-fired pizza, pay what you can. We have a Power of Produce Club for kids. They join the club. They get $5 to spend at the market every time they come. So they learn to become good consumers of local produce, and it gets them to talk to the farmers and talk to the vendors. And we love that they sit under the arts tent, but we want them involved in the market. So that is the purpose of our Power of Produce Club. So we will have entertainment and music and lots of community spirit. So if you are in the area on Fridays in July and August between 5 and 8, we'll see you at 26 Whitman Street. And come see our new kitchen. We have 4 walls. We have window cutouts. So it's coming along. It's pretty exciting. And I'll be there on Friday night with the smoothie bite. So, with kale from Robert's Farm and lots of things for our Green Monster smoothie. So that's my plug for the market. Anybody else? Anything last parting comments or thoughts? Well, that was fun having an interesting discussion. I need to find some more of these little ethical questions out there. It was pretty engaging. So that was good. And Dave Beam, we are happy to see you. We haven't seen you in a while. I see Bill White all the time, so it's nice to see you. Everybody have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all you do for our community. Take care.
Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, thank you.